How many BlizzCons is this for you?
This is my first.
This is your first?
Yes. I mean, it's indescribable. I've wanted to do BlizzCon for 7 years, ever since I first found out what esports was, watching StarCraft with Total Biscuit, the reason I'm in casting to begin with. And seeing that level of, like, being passed over so many years in a row, like I've talked about in other interviews, but being passed over so many years in a row and watching it, and it's always like that bittersweet of just instead just putting all my hopes in just like, maybe EU will win this, this time, and just putting all my emotions in that. But for this event, like coming here opening week just felt like another event to me. That was, I mean, I love every event. It always gets that butterflies, always gets hype, always get a little bit of nerves. But stepping out onto, like, I sat in the audience for the opening ceremony, and within the first 20 seconds was welling up, because it's a hell of a feeling. And then going on the desk and basically incredibly scared, incredibly nervous, every single emotion just playing into it, and it all just has to go away because you have to work, and I have to cast, and I have to be entertaining. And that continued all the way through till today, where literally the second the cameras were off, I was just in tears of just happiness, emotional drain, and just everything. And I'm still, like, I've basically been on the verge of tears since then, and have been struggling since then. It basically all started after I failed every exam in my college degree except one. Like, basically I was doing 4 courses, and that was physical education, which I passed the physical and failed the written. Apparently physical education requires knowledge, who knew? Failed psychology, failed history, and passed drama and theatre studies. And I found that out as the school year started. So basically every other school that started, I didn't want to start, because my school, you had to do at least 2 subjects to stay in it. So I was kicked out, basically. So I basically went away for a year. I just made the decision of, well, I guess I'm going to take a gap year and then go to theatre or acting school, because that's apparently all I'm good at, good to know. And in that time I was watching a load of gaming videos, because I liked gaming at the time, but not PC gaming. Like, it was all Halo, Call of Duty, all console gaming, like a little bit of Minecraft on the PC, because at the time I was super into the Oxcast. But basically through them, I found Total Biscuit, which I loved watching, incredibly entertaining. And at the end of one of his videos, he said, "And if you like what I do, why didn't you check out my StarCraft 2 channel?" And I was like, what is this StarCraft 2? Went to Total Halibut and found him casting the Iron Squid with Apollo. So it was an old tournament. It was about 2011, I think, maybe 2012, probably 2011. And I was like, wait, people do this? I could do that. And basically was like, this is so cool. Watching Total Biscuit and Apollo together at the time was just mind-blowing to me. And I went out the same day and bought a copy of StarCraft 2. And
So good.
And basically worked, just dived into that. I discovered Tastosis, and that was mind-blowing. Discovered Day 9, that was mind-blowing, and I was like, this is a thing! People do this! This is insane! And committed to 2 weeks worth of playing the game, and then messaged a UK tournament, the ESL UK Open, and was like, hey, I have experience. I would like to cast. And I was like, yeah, I'm good enough. Wasn't good enough. Was garbage. Was terrible. It was 2 weeks worth of playing StarCraft. It was awful. But it was a guy called Snorlax who let me do it. Bless him. I love him. Dimitri was fantastic. But I went away for a couple months after that, and then came back after having played the game for those months, and he let me try again for some stupid reason, because I was awful the first time and I was passable. And basically kept going from there, and I was still watching Total Biscuit, I was still watching Tastosis, and just carried on until I felt it was time to move on from StarCraft, because I wasn't getting the same joy out of it as before. And it was about that time that Heroes of the Storm was announced. And I found that love again, and I've had it ever since.
That's amazing. And so Heroes of the Storm, it kind of reinvigorated your drive and your passion for casting.
Yeah, I was at the point of, I don't feel I'm good enough at StarCraft casting. Like, I did one big event and I felt so much less than every other caster there. It was that overwhelming feeling of every single person here is better than me. So many people who aren't here are better than me. This is a horrible feeling, and I hated every second of it. And I was already not feeling the game, and I was like, I don't deserve to be here. I'm not enjoying the game. Why am I here? But basically, I was gonna quit, and I was like, maybe I'll just like get a couple things of Hearthstone because I'm enjoying that. I don't want to do it full time, but I will absolutely do it as part time for some community stuff because it's fun. But yeah, then Heroes was announced, so I basically committed to Hearthstone for a year while I waited for Heroes to be released. And thanks to, again, going back to Total Biscuit, my show community challenges that I did, not community challenges, caster challenges, where I got casters and did Who Signs It Anyway style games with them. So there's a video on my old YouTube channel somewhere of Total Biscuit saying bumbling burglings barass bases, because I challenged him to only cast with words starting with the letter B. But like him and In Control and people like that built that up, and that got the attention of the Blizzard community manager at the time, Sam Dempsey. And he was like, I love your show. Have an invite to the technical alpha for Heroes of the Storm. And I was like, yep, I could go with this.
And so that was basically what kind of brought you into Heroes of the Storm at that point was just your past experience instead of StarCraft and Hearthstone.
Yeah, seeing that trailer, and like, here's a game that looks amazing. I was playing a couple MOBAs just with friends for fun, like never had any intention of getting serious into them. And I was like, these are fun. I'm enjoying myself. I mean, I could play these. But then this game comes out and it's like, I know these characters. I love the Blizzard universes. I don't play World of Warcraft, but I am super deep in the lore, like reading all the books, watching other people play, just all of that stuff. StarCraft, obviously, Diablo, an incredible story. And I was like, I know these characters. I want to do this. This is a game in a genre that I enjoy, that plays differently though, that I can start from the beginning and just commit everything to, and I have no regrets. That was the best decision of my life. I did. I was on the panel for her with Kevin and Kyle, and that was an honor to be asked to do that. First BlizzCon, I get to cast, I get to be analysis on the finals, and I get to be on a panel with the Heroes dev team talking about the new hero. I played a lot of her for that and had a really good time. There is a very different experience standing on a desk facing into a camera. There's a camera. As opposed to sitting on a chair in front of hundreds, thousands? How many were in that crowd?
I have no idea.
It's just, that is just sinking in. Okay, but just sitting facing those people, that is a deer in headlights style thing of you. It was very much I'm either going to sink in this moment and freeze up, or I'm going to paddle to the shore and just push through it and do my job. But that is a very different experience. That is terrifying. Fun, fun though. Like that was super cool. Like when I brought up Kevin's announcer pack, and the audience cheers. That's like, I know this is about him, but I instigated this. That's a cool feeling. Seeing that in front of me was kind of cool.
It's got to be amazing to feel that reaction. Just you could probably even literally feel the reaction coming.
I mean, for that big of a crowd, like on the very first day where I got to finally say the words BlizzCon, who's ready for the first game of the HGC finals, that was so loud it shook my chest. And when Dignitas got first blood with that Stitches hook in game number 3, that shook the stage. That was deafening. And that stage is high, that's scary. I have not had the opportunity to look deep into those changes yet because I've been very focused on this event, this patch. I don't want to fill my head with a load of other stuff outside of the new hero, but from my experience, it removes the XP value from split pushing, but massively empowers split pushing as an endgame scenario from what I saw. I don't know if that's just my very limited experience of stuff I played, but all I can say is I'm very glad that there is the rumored Sylvanas rework, because if she gets into that patch with her current build, for starters, J-How is right. Possession, I mean, in his words, possession was already valuable. Possession becomes one of the most broken talents in the game because you just need one fort and then you just run top lane. Possession is the melee minions that are catapults and suddenly you're golden. Suddenly you're taking down everything. You're wrecking face.
No, it's true, and I do think that there was someone I talked to, and they were saying that is pretty much what worked. I think it was Skimmy was playing against J-How.
Yes, I was on his team.
Oh, so that was that. It was
yes,
that game.
Basically,
Skimmy was doing an interview earlier, and he was just like J-How, like you.
I was playing Orphea in that game against J-How with Skimmy. Skimmy was an Uberak, and like I hear J-How just off to the side because we're all on a line even though you play against each other, and he's just like talking to the person next to him, just like, who on this team wants to play Orphea? Alright, rock, paper, scissors you for it. And he lost, so he locks in Sylvanas and just split pushes top lane. So me, as Orphea, trying to learn stuff for the panel that I have to do the next day, spend most of the time in the base clearing minions. Because it's just like, J-How, please, stop. And he got like a 3-level lead for his team. So XP changes, just getting the minions seemed to be getting pretty good value for him. Even though there was no XP from the forts anymore, just the amount of pressure he was piling on the map, so getting every single minion wave while also pushing up and accumulating everything, he dominated that game. Also, he went mind control and killed me again and again and again. It was fun. I had a good time. I mean, in J-How's case, he literally leans on people because he can. He's tall enough. But yes, we all emotionally and physically support each other whenever it's required. Like the amount of emotional support I've had at this event, like just a simple "you're doing a good job" and also just calling someone out when they do a bad job is, if they don't realize they're doing a bad job, that's a huge deal. Like at some point, we realized that some of us, including myself, were drafting off of our in-game preview, not the stream preview. Meaning that we were calling heroes about a second before they appeared on the stream. So we're spoiling it for the audience. So like Gilly was the one who noticed that and was like, okay, we need to stop. And it was a great call out. But also like just like I said, the emotional support, J-How being on the grand finals, just giving it, just amping each other up for that. Me on my first grand finals, both before and after, like I said, I was an emotional wreck afterwards, and like everyone was there to support me after that because I was just so happy with everything.
It's a level of like joy, but you're still bawling. You're like, why are you crying? It's like, I don't
know. I was so happy. It's one big family. Like everyone's different in the family. There's different groups in the family that hang out sometimes, but we're all one. We all love each other. We all have a good time together. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy each other's work, and that's what makes us a good team.
And
even the people who weren't here at this event, it's all one big team.
It really does show between, I mean, the casting and camaraderie, everyone does such an amazing job communicating and working with each other, being dynamic. Like that's one of the hardest things I think a lot of people is just being dynamic, being able to adjust your own casting style to fit with someone else because not everyone, everyone's got to kind of bounce a little
Exactly.
bit.
I mean, having that situation where you cast someone for the first time, is that Gilly was emotionally supporting me after this one, but when we first cast together at MSB, and when I first cast, this event was my first serious cast with Skimmy. We'd only done All-Star Games, which is a very different casting style. But when you sit down with someone for the first time, and you have a solid cast with them that just feels natural, that's one of the best feelings in the world. Anytime you sit down with someone, it's just like, oh, I don't know if our stars are going to match, it might be weird, but when you sit down with someone, it just feels good. It feels natural. For a caster, that's the dream. That's what you want, of just like, yeah, that felt good, I had a good time with you, and that's an instant bond. I mean, I have the disadvantage of being in Europe, where basically everyone else is in, I mean, for this event, everyone's in America, New Zealand, or Korea. So I don't exactly get the chance, really, to play with most of them. But outside of events, where we message each other from time to time, just share memes. That's a fair one. There's a couple meme chats that have existed in the past. To the point where, like, I'm giving insider knowledge here, so we got in trouble at an event because, I'm not going to say which one, because the official chat where we got like call times in was too full of memes. The people would keep losing the call time. So yeah, that's a thing that exists.
That's too good. That's perfect. Thank you.
D&D is mine. Any kind of RPG, so D&D, Blades in the Dark, those kind of games. I'm still waiting to find a group that I can play Paranoia with, because I really want to play Paranoia. I'm tempted for next event, because apparently someone knows a good place to find a giant Jenga set to try and run I'm back in Los Angeles, try and run a Dread game for the other casters if they're up for it. But like, RPGs in general are my jam. I love that. I also, this one's less of a hobby and more of a side job that I'm attempting to make a career. Voice acting is just fun to the point where I'm turning it into a stream where I basically don't audition for a month or so and then do like 20 auditions in one stream, which is really, really fun. D&D, voice acting, streaming these days. I'm doing more streaming because I can now. Those are the things. D&D is definitely my unwind, though, because especially on Tuesdays, because that's when I usually have my like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So when we game like every other week for each of them. My game's always on every other Wednesday. One of the others is every other Tuesday. One of the others every other Friday. The Tuesday one is always the best because I'm always late. Because I'm always finishing up Europe. And I've just come from China into Europe. So I've been casting for 15 hours. And I just want to come in and I want to be a character. And just have fun. Preferably hurt something with a sword. But that is definitely a good mental decompressor. Being able to say, okay, I am no longer Tetcher the caster, or Chris the human, which are basically the same person. I am now Kralik Kai, the Arcanist, Warforged Paladin of the Crown.
That's so good. I love that you like it's even like a whole. It's a nice way to like even remove yourself as a character. I've never looked at it that way. It's a really good decompression method because a lot of people are like, oh, I just go for a run, like I get the aggression out. But sometimes that removal is even more so. That's such an I've never thought of it that way. That's really cool.
It's super fun. It's kind of why I just like making characters. Like I'm one of those bad D&D players who swaps characters every 5 sessions. Like in one campaign, I have I think 6 characters. I haven't played 3 of them, but I've rotated between some of them. But it's like one day I am Kralik, the Warforged Paladin. Some days I am Valinat, Lizardfolk Cleric of Sethanek, here to raise morale and support for my people in their blood war. And stuff like that. Who's my other character in that? Oh yeah, Savage Randall Keith Orton. Naga monk and sorcerer, purely so I can cast enlarge on myself and wrestle things.
I love that. That's you're like all I want to do is make something that just wrestles stuff. Like that's.
Oh no! I in case this wasn't obvious, I am a huge wrestling fan. So I really wanted to make a wrestling character, and I was like, what if I was just like it took inspiration. Was like, what if I like there is a wrestler Randy Orton, and his nickname is the Viper. So I was like, what if I just like. Don't take his personality, because I personally think it's a little boring. But take his name and literally make him a snake. But then just take the personality of just like a traditional, stereotypical wrestler. Like a macho man Randy Savage, only less, oh yeah, because I have to cast tomorrow.
It's so good. It's just like, hey guys, I'll do voices, but just like not tonight. I gotta pass.
No, I will always do voices, but I will tailor my voices. Yeah, I mean Kralik, his voice is now like this, but his voice started off like this. Yes, I'm most evil of characters, and I was like, I can't keep that up for long. I will not be able to do that.
It's a tough question.
I don't think it's so much a phrase. But I'm going to be pulling from Crit Roll here, and it's a piece of art that I saw one day. So I'm going to preface this by saying that this is going to be Critical Role Campaign 1 spoilers. So I'm basically going to hold up my hand, and as long as this hand is up, it will be spoiler territory. Once my hand is down, we will be out of spoiler territory, because I don't want people to be spoiled. So, hand is up. Mute the stream until it is down. So, for those who do not know, Sam Riegel, he plays Scanlan Shorthalt, and the entire Critical Role campaign exists basically because of their old podcast him and Liam used to do, Sam Riegel and Liam used to do, called All Work and No Play, where they always just tried to do a different thing every week to try and find a reason to hang out. And one day, their good friend Matt Mercer offers to run a D&D game for someone's birthday. And they have never played D&D before, like Liam's played before, Sam hasn't. And so Sam basically has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't know how to play D&D, he doesn't know what to make, and they're talking about it on the podcast. And it's the words that he says to Liam, which is, he basically lets Liam make his character for him. And just says to him, I could just be the worst. What's the worst character? What would be the worst character? And Liam's like, I don't know, you could be like a gnome bard. So I was like, okay, I'll be that. But there is a piece of art out there where it's the final battle of Campaign 1 versus Vecna the Deceiver. Everyone is low, everyone's getting hit, and Vecna's about to leave. He is about to teleport away, and this entire fight, everything they've gone through, will be for nothing if he gets away, if he is able to get that teleport spell off. Scanlan has been saving a level 9 spell to cast Wish to save Liam's character. Because Liam's character is basically a revenant for the Raven Queen to kill Vecna, and then once that's gone, he is taken by the Raven Queen and is dead. But he was saving that level 9 spell, but Vecna's teleported. And he's like making that decision, just like, what do I do? What do I do? And then he's like, it says to the DM, just like, do I have a reaction left? And Matt's like, yeah, you have a reaction. It's like, all right, I'll counterspell. All right, we counterspell. What level? 9. The highest level spell. He has 1 slot of it. It's the only slot that can cast Wish. So he gives up his friend to save the world. But for starters, that's just an incredibly emotional moment that I very much cried over. But it's the situation of that, like, that's just for context. But it's this comic of, it's the literal text of, I could just be the worst. What is the worst character? And it's Vecna looming over everyone in mid-battle with everyone. And it's just like, I don't know, a gnome bard just in a little black box. And it's Scanlan Shorthold, the gnome bard that was a comedy relief character who was just here for fun to be the worst character. And he's just preparing counterspell. He's just like, okay, I'll be that. And just puts out his hand to cast the counterspell. And it's a situation of, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are to start off with. It doesn't matter if you're the jokey guy, the analysis guy, if you're anything like that. If you work for it, and sometimes it is going to be a sacrifice. Sometimes you do have to do, things you might not want to do, but the fact is, if you stick to who you are, if you want to be the funny person like Scanlan did, but still pull it out when it needs to, you can be that. And that's an inspiration that I definitely took when that campaign ended, of just like, this is a character who is funny and comedy relief, who just saved the world at immense personal sacrifice because he could and because he had to. And that is a situation of, if that can be done, even though it's a fantasy world, I want to be able to work towards that happen.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much for that. Like, it's so true. Is no matter what you do and how far you come, you're always going to have to overcome challenges.
Exactly. You've got to work. But if you work, and if you, I mean, it sounds so cheesy. If you do what you love doing, and keep doing it because you love doing it, then you've already won. I mean, I wanted to do every BlizzCon, but every year I did, and I was still casting. The fact I can now do it as a job is a dream. The fact I'm here is a dream. 7 years, and I'm here. Yeah, gaming's cool, man.
No, it's so crazy that it's 7 years of hard work, and you've gone from StarCraft bad casters. You've kind of put yourself
bad
into
caster and comedy show runner.
Stage with sitting on the stage talking about heroes
with the best,
and it's just crazy, and it's just so, like, just congratulations first off. Like,
Thank you.
It's such a big moment.
I still don't believe it. I'm waiting to wake up. I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be 2014 again. Blizzard All-Stars has been announced. I want to put on the best show. I am an entertainer. I am very lucky to have been raised to the point where I am ever so slightly charismatic. And as such, I want people to enjoy themselves. And this is the medium I chose. This and voice acting and DMing D&D. These are my methods to make sure that other people have a good time. That's all it's about. As a caster, it's about the players. We would not exist without the players, but esports would not exist without an audience. And that's why I'm here. I will always try and build up the players and make sure that they are shown in the best light I possibly can. But it's all about the audience, dude. They're the ones who make the magic happen. They're the ones who tune in every single HGC stream. They're the ones who watched in over 30,000 people online. They're the ones who packed out into only standing room for the grand finals at Blizzcon. They're why. That's the only reason why for me. I mean, not the only reason. That is easily the biggest reason for me, is just make sure they have a good time. Make sure they are rewarded for letting us do this crazy, crazy job.
It's so true. I've never looked at it. Like I've always stopped like at the players and just like it's the players.
Of course, the players are important. Absolutely, we wouldn't if they weren't putting all their life and time and soul into the game. Then people wouldn't want to watch. If the devs weren't creating such amazing games, wouldn't want to watch. It takes a village, I believe the term is, to make an esport. I guess that's what it's called. Probably Stukov is the one I can think off the top of my head. No, wait, Stukov's up there, but it is Sylvanas, purely out of just pure memory. The one where she floats into the air doing a little shimmy. Purely because one of the first videos I ever did on my channel, I was playing Sylvanas. It was like right after she came out. And I was messing around, having a good time with some friends, with some other streamers, with Kendrick. This is one of my first times doing something with him. We're just playing some games. And I'm just being a cocky little profanity. And dancing in the middle of the map. On top of the shrine on Sky Temple. And the entire enemy team shows up, and that was the time in the game where you couldn't cancel a dance once it had started. You had to follow through on the animation. That used to be a thing. So I'm like, just having a little dance. Oh god, great mistakes, help! We turned that round, and I was like calculated, totally intentional. Just wasn't, but yeah, Sylvanas just a little airship because I have that mental image of just seeing that ETC or Stitches or whatever it was appearing from the fog of war and just going, oh no, I've made a really bad decision.
Any
Carax.
Any specific reason?
Because for starters, his personality is one of my favourite in any Blizzard game. He is incredibly humble, incredibly wise, despite not believing in himself sometimes. But he always comes through when he needs to. And the fact of Face Smith could be quite cool. Like maybe something. There's so many things you could do with him. A builder hero, something, but maybe not an offensive one. Maybe something around shield batteries. Maybe a summoner hero, something Immortals or Colossi or something like that. Maybe make him a mothership. Who knows? But yeah, Carax. His personality just really resonated with me when I played Legacy of the Void. So I'd love to see him in as like probably a support. I think I love the idea of a shield battery building hero that can like consistently regenerate shield. Like think Probius' Pylon upgrade level 13, but better targeted, something like that. That's what I'd want to see. That or Winston.
That's I like that idea too. Being a giant monkey jumping around.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you have to give him a Donkey Kong skin. Like you have to give him like a little a little red tie.
Little
That's gonna be
yeah,
enough.
That's
like, you
enough
don't have to put DK, or you don't have to put like W on it. It's just a little red tie.
I agree with that. If not, I just kind of want him to be in a I'm pretty sure it's a skin in Overwatch, but just one with him in a lab coat because he's not a monkey. He's a scientist.
So good.
BlizzCon is an emotional mess that everyone should go to at least once, is how I feel. And thank you all for watching. Content like this is rare in our community, and I'm glad it's being done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.